Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to the Reptile Barn. We have some things to talk about today. Primarily, we are going to talk about the genetic mutations that are considered defects. We're going to really stick to ball pythons, but this is an issue throughout the entire reptile and even just the entire animal world. So today we're talking about spiders and about all these different problems. Stay tuned. It's going to be a great video. So, before we jump into all of that, I wanted to take a minute and just admire this gorgeous creature here. This is an animal we produced here at the Reptile Barn. It is a male spinner het desert ghost. What you're seeing, though, visually, because the desert ghost is just in its heterozygous form, is the spider and the pinstripe in combination, which they call spinner. Okay? So both of those are pattern mutations. Both of those are dominant mutations. They're fairly rare in that they're not incomplete dominant mutations. They're just dominant mutations. Now, there's a lot of evidence that the spider gene might be an incomplete dominant and that in its super form, it's lethal and forms a white snake. Regardless, in practice, in the reptile hobby, they're both dominant genes, right? There's either they're present or they're not. In combination, you see this very reduced pattern. The pinstripe brings a lot of golds to the undertone color. The spider is what's given it that nice high white sides. I love the wacko bellies on these guys. You see almost a yellow belly-ish tint to it. And then it's almost a clear belly, but with these random splotches of color on it. I love this snake. I have not shown him enough on the vlog. Beautiful little guy. Still needs a name, by the way, so feel free to give us some suggestions. Friendliest little snake.
Night monkey.
Night monkey? It says night monkey. We are definitely night monkeys, that's for sure. Anyway, he's eating little frozen thawed rats like a champ. He's just an awesome snake. Can't wait till he grows up and we can produce the visual spinner desert ghost. That's what the original breeding was for. So this is the product of one of our own snakes, Thor, who is a spider desert ghost, also produced here at the Reptile Barn. That's the visual spider desert ghost, and a pinstripe named Zuit, who is not our female, but she is on loan to us right now from our friend Colton Dixon. Totally off the subject here for a second, guys, and I've never done this before, so I apologize if this comes across out of the blue, but Colton Dixon, an excellent friend of ours, big reptile enthusiast, he is a amateur photographer, and he mostly does wildlife. So I think his Instagram is colt.j.dixon. Liz will stick a thingy on here. Please go check out his stuff, and if you like it, follow him on Instagram. It's really, really excellent. He should have 1,000 times more followers than he does, but he doesn't promote himself. So here on our channel, we're going to promote him. He doesn't know that I'm doing this, so if he's embarrassed by this, sorry, Colton. But I wouldn't do this if he wasn't excellent. He is really good at what he does. His photography is top-notch, and he always writes either little almost poetic pieces to go along with it, or just a little blurb of the natural history that he is showing in his photography, whether it's something about the biology of the animal that he got photography of, or a fun fact about it. Really cool stuff on his Instagram, so please go check him out and you will not be disappointed. Anyway, little plug over. Back to this guy. The reason I pulled him out in particular is because the spider gene is the most famous gene as far as a defect goes, right? Very controversial. A lot of anger about this. A lot of videos about this. Liz has been wanting me to do a video about this for quite a while. I've been resisting, but now here we go. Because I do think it's important. I feel like if someone has a strong opinion about something, they should be able to put it on their own channel, right? So I'm not going to get angry about it or anything, but I do have an opinion. Clearly, as you can see, we are not 100% opposed to the spider gene. We produce it on purpose at the reptile barn, right? That's not currently a popular opinion. So let's get into it, right? First off, why is it controversial? Many people feel that anything that is a genetic defect, you should be ethically opposed to purposefully producing that again and again in captivity because of the quality of life for the animal, right? So, I guess to me, the difference is how you define quality of life, right? We're going to talk about a mutation after we talk about the spider that we do not keep in our collection because I do believe that it has a strong likelihood of either ending life or at least decreasing the quality of life for any animal that inherits that mutation. Okay? So I'm not just saying, oh, it doesn't matter what defects there are, just pump them out. That's not really where we're at. We just, over years, came to feel that the spider mutation doesn't decrease the animal's quality of life at all. We've never seen a spider that looks in pain or is extra afraid. Okay? Because those are kind of the two, to me, really big deals. If an animal is living in fear or in pain, those are big no-nos. You should not be okay with purposefully inflicting pain or fear on an animal. Okay? The other things to watch out for, and these are more what I think most people worry about with spider ball pythons, would be ability to perform regular life functions, right? Can they eat properly? Can they pass, can they have normal bowel movements, pass urates? Can they shed normally? Can they breed, lay eggs? Does it affect any of their organ function? Can they breathe normally? Heart function, liver function? Does their body work right? So what is absolutely for certain wrong with a spider ball python? There's kind of two things. One, the more common one is the wobble. He's not really doing it right now. I've seen him do it a tiny bit, but basically, think of it like in fact, I myself, my hands shake ever so slightly. Some spider ball pythons, their head does that to varying degrees. Some of it's almost not perceptible. Others, it's very perceptible. They call it a wobble, right? They shake a little bit. Most people think that it is a kind of a brain function that's not working quite properly, but it could also maybe be a muscular problem. Either way, they have a slight wobble to their head movement. Okay, it doesn't really seem to affect the rest of their body, but it does affect their head. The other thing that's rarer, but still certainly happens, they call corkscrewing. They don't seem to get their balance right, and their head will turn as they move. He's not doing it at all. None of my spiders really do this, or I would have shown them. But as they move, their head will turn slightly. It's as if they just can't get their function right, and they'll turn sometimes completely over. Some people are like, oh, it's just silly. It's like they try and treat it like it's endearing. To me, I watch them. If they seem to have any of that going on, I just put them back. The other thing that's kind of very, very widely accepted is that it seems to be stress related. Not always bad stress. Excitement is a form of stress. But if they're afraid or if they're about to eat something that's got them really a lot more energetic than they normally would be, the wobble or the corkscrewing can increase, right? Now, we don't really have to deal with it much because even the ones of ours that wobble, it's barely perceptible. But some people do. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, though. It definitely, some people have ones with much more severe wobble or corkscrewing than ours. Can't seem to really breed it out. It's attached to the spider mutation. So that's just, those are the facts that I know that can affect your spider ball python. To me, they don't affect the happiness of my animals. They don't cause pain that I know of, and they don't affect performance of general basic life functions, and I don't believe that they cause more fear. Ball pythons show you when they're afraid. They either bite or they ball up, right? Spiders, they don't seem to do either one of those behaviors any more regularly than another mutation. So, quality of life. That's what we have to get back to. Is the quality of life for an organism who shakes worse? I believe no, it's not. I feel like it's a little bit of a dangerous precedent to say your quality of life is worse because you shake. You must be unhappy. You must be so miserable, in fact, that we shouldn't have had you even be alive. That's pretty extreme to me. I don't agree with that, and I don't like that. That's taking a lot of power into our hands that I just don't feel is necessary. And with an animal, maybe it's not, the end of the world, but man, can you imagine? And again, guys, I'm not trying to make such a huge example out of this, but can you imagine going up to a person who had some sort of body tremor and telling them your quality of life is terrible, you can't be happy, you can't cope with this, you just are unhappy. It'd be better if you had never been born. That'd be ridiculous. You wouldn't say that to a person. Hopefully you wouldn't believe that about a person. Now with an animal that we are producing in captivity, we do have to make more judgment calls than with other people. We don't get to go around and tell people, you're happy, you're not happy, you should be alive, you shouldn't be alive. We don't do that, right? Or we shouldn't do that. But with our animals that we are in charge of pairing them together in the first place, they only exist because of us, it's okay to make some judgment calls. But that one, to me, you shake, therefore you're unhappy, therefore you shouldn't be alive. I don't agree with either one of those big jumps in logic. I just don't. So to me, because I have experienced spider ball pythons in person, several of them, including from other people's collections that have a more severe wobble and corkscrewing than mine do, I'm okay with the wobble. I just am. I like my spider ball pythons. They're beautiful. They're healthy, just like all my other snakes. They're happy. They're curious. I mean, look at this little guy. He's just... To tell me that he shouldn't exist is sad, and I don't agree with it. Not just for feelings, but because logically it doesn't make sense to me. If to somebody else it does make logical sense that you shouldn't have them, okay, then don't have them. But to ban them from shows and ban them from collections and tell people they're horrible monsters for breeding them, I don't agree. And I also don't think that I'm a horrible monster. Anyway, so that's enough of the spider ball python. By the way, there are other mutations that do similar things, like Woma. It's a similar looking mutation. It's a similar acting defect, if you will. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. Okay, so we're going to pause the video real quick. I'm going to go grab another snake, and we're going to talk about something else. So I pulled out Charmander and a baby who woke up. It's a snake. This is so pretty. Nice touch. Nice touch. Nice. Nice touch. Nice touch. Good job. So nice. Good, nice touch. So, Charmander is an Ultramel. He also, incidentally, is one of the 6 or 7 most spectacular reptiles on planet Earth. I don't mean that Ultramels are. I mean, he himself is one of the best individual reptiles that exists. And I'm absolutely right, and there is no argument. I absolutely love this snake. So, why'd I pull him out, though, other than just because he's awesome? Ultramel is a line of T-positive albinism in ball pythons. I know of at least 3. Don't touch his head. He doesn't like that. Caramel Albino, Ultramel, and Monarch. Caramel Albinos and Ultramels look very similar. Monarchs are a little darker, but they're all tyrosinase positive. That's an enzyme. Albinos. So obviously, they have more pigment than a regular albino, a T-negative albino. But most of it's been pulled away, and you're left with this absolutely stunning caramely, orangey look to them. Right? So, Monarch and Ultramel, there's nothing wrong with them. No defects of any sort that I know of. Caramel Albino, however, they kink. The spines of the babies, they come out of the egg kinked fairly regularly. Obviously not every single one, or they wouldn't really exist. But they kink. Sometimes so badly that they don't survive. Other times they're deformed for their entire life, have a ton of difficulty eating, even just moving, shedding, passing food, pooping and peeing. They struggle, or they die. I am not okay with breeding them. I'm sorry. If it's known that mutation comes with those kinds of problems that are absolutely, without question, harming their lives and their quality of life if they survive, I'm not okay with it. So some people are, and I'm not calling anyone out, but that's where we draw our line. We feel that their quality of life suffers. It puts them in danger, so we're not gonna breed those. We're not gonna keep those in our collection, right? Luckily, Ultramels exist. Very similar snake, recessive mutation that causes this look, and no problems at all. Totally gorgeous, wonderful, fantastic snake, right? So that's kind of where I wanted to take this video, was to talk about when does a defect mean that we feel it's not okay to breed those anymore. So other defects, there's some mutations that they get a little bug-eyed, or their eyes are big. Some get, I think they call it like duck-billed or something, where they have a big overbite. There's different things that can happen, and everyone has to decide on their own, am I okay with keeping these or not? I hear about these breeders that are like, yeah, I personally love the spiders still, but I can't handle all the hate that comes from me keeping them, so I don't keep them anymore. I'm like, so your collection that you've been building for, in some cases, 20 or 30 years, you don't get to keep the way you want because random other people hate you for it. That's just, man, that's crazy to me. But I will continue to keep spiders. If I am the last breeder on Earth who has spiders in my collection, and I'm the only one who ever keeps them, and I can't even sell them anymore, so be it. I think they're beautiful, and I do not have an ethical problem, and I therefore will not be forced out of keeping them by people who disagree with me. Now, I welcome people disagreeing with me. That's not a problem at all, but trying to make it illegal in I don't know how you would do that in the reptile world, but there's people that want to from keeping those. I just don't agree. So that's where we will leave it. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to disagree. I'm certainly not going to shoot you down. Do it respectfully. If you're going to comment, don't be swearing at me or anything. But please, I will not be offended in the slightest if you disagree with me. I'll leave it at that. But thank you for watching. Thank you for your support of our channel. And we're going to take care of this little baby here. And until next time, we're the Reptile Barn.